Hello. In previous tutorial, I described the basic interaction between controller and viewer. This time I will show a more detailed usage of MVC application layout. For the purpose of this demonstration, I will query a database table I created here in ZF tutorial database table called books. Has a very simple structure with just three fields: ID, title, and author. To work with databases, Zend Framework provides a set of classes called ZDB. There are many ways to use them. This time I will just use a simple pattern called the table data gateway, where you create a separate class for each table. Each of these classes are going to be models. So they're all going to go into our models folder here. But before I do that, I'm going to create another set of controller and action to work with. So I'll just create a controller called books, and I'm going to create an action in that controller called list. So this way we have a place where we can list our table content. So now we'll go ahead and create a model for our table. I'm going to give it a name of books, and in it I'm going to create a class called model books, which extends ZendDB table abstract. Now please remember that the purpose of the tutorial is to explain MVC layout, so I will skim over some of the details of ZendDB table and leave them out for later tutorials. For now, I'll just say that the rule for ZendDB table abstract is that it must have a protected variable called name that corresponds with the name of the table that we are working with. This is the interesting bit here, and I will explain how the convention for the class and file names works in Zend Framework. So now that I created the class, I should theoretically be able to use it in my controller by just saying books tbl equals new model books. But if we go to the page, we're going to get an error that says that the model books cannot be found. Well, that is because the model folder and what's inside of it is not in the PHP's path. Now, in the previous versions, you had to configure all your class places in dispatchers and routers, and that was quite a job. It was pretty difficult. But in Zend Framework 1.8 release, there is a new facility called Zend Application that takes care of the application's environment. We set up the application environment inside of the bootstrap file, bootstrap class rather. What this class provides is a facility where you create configurations and set up resources for your application before the controllers, viewers, and the models get processed. So basically, before the controller and the viewer gets processed, this is the first file it goes to. So we're going to set up an environment where the application is going to automatically find our books model. For now, I'm just going to say that we need a special instance of a class called module autoloader, and we're going to put it into an init method. So what happens is that the Zend application looks at the bootstrap files and pick up any methods that begin with init. So I'll do just that. I'm going to make a protected function called init auto load, and doesn't matter really what goes after the init, as long as you have the init in front of it. The model autoloader that I just mentioned is going to go inside of this variable Zend application model autoloader, and it takes the parameters taken from an array. The two parameters that you are most likely to use is namespace, that describe the prefix of your classes, and the base path, which tells Zend Framework where to look for these classes from the hard drive's file system point of view. And we're going to let it decide that by itself with the help of the constant application path. In case you're curious, application path is being set inside of the index.php file. So look through it if you're not clear where exactly do these constants come from. Namespace is, like I said before, is a prefix of your own classes. I'm going to leave it blank for now, so that it's just going to look straight into the application file without any extra bits in front of it. Basically, this provides you with your own naming convention, where you can separate your classes with some kind of prefix that stands out. So I could say my app. So all of my classes are going to begin with my app. For now, I'll just use the Zend's default namespace, which is nothing. So all my classes are named without any specific prefix. Okay, so I'm going to now just return the variable, and let's see now if the class gets accessed. Okay, it found a class, but we still have an error. The error is there because we still have not set up the database environment. This is the second nice thing about Zend application, is that not only does it create a facility for finding the class names, it also sets up our resources. The resources are usually being set up inside of configs folder application.ini. Now Aptana Studio is not very good at editing that, so I'll switch over to my other editor. Yeah, that looks much better. And I'm going to create a set of resources that describe my database. So first step, I'm going to show, or rather tell, what database connection method I want to use. I want to use my SQLi, and the rest of this is my database information, including a host, username, password, DB name, the standard stuff. Please don't mind my silly password, ZF tutorial. So here we have our resources. By the way, the resources are outlined very well in the documentation, which I will link up. This page here, Zend application, resources, plugins, shows very well exactly what kind of resources are available and how to access them. I will link that up at the end. Okay, so here we got our resources set up. Let's see if it picks them up. Right, so we don't have errors anymore. So our database got connected, and it's ready to be used.